trying to find a way to control the internet right now. They have at least 20,000 people patrolling the internet and acting as censors. And that's not enough. All sorts of things are said in China on the internet which they would not like to see. Openness is everywhere. And so, I wanted to tell you about this because I suppose, I think of the internet as being America's greatest gift of democracy. The odd thing is that it began as a defense project. Because if you're here, and your missile's over there, and you want to tell them to launch, and your radio link is broken, how do you get your message? Right? Someone on a horse? Probably not. But if you set up a network which says, oh, now look, the message can go here and there, and then to Australia and to Alaska, and then down to there, and it'll get there anyway. This is a very robust network. And that was the idea of the original internet. And then they started blowing it open and saying, no, we can use this for other things. We can have emails, we can have the World Wide Web, and nobody knows how big the internet is. Google has maybe 6%, at around about 6.5 billion pages of stuff. We're not going to have time to read it, I'm afraid. But what it's doing is that it's made us realize that we can share things with everybody, anywhere, at any time, and that it is possible to undo barriers of money and establish privilege and business in the interest of scholarship and teaching. And that's why we think it's exciting. We don't know where it's going, we don't know who's going to regulate it, we don't know about quality control. There will doubtless be a lot of crummy journals which will publish anything. But it is also already being seen that good scholars publishing in open journals have better citation rates there than people publishing in the old-fashioned, heavy, expensive journals charging $20,000 a year. And so the world in which we live, the world of learning and scholarship and teaching, is changing hugely. And if you want to get online, just do a search for MOOC, and you will find a lot of MOOC. You will find a lot of very good material about it, which will describe how they work, and it will tell you courses you can take, and it can tell you the benefits thereof. I don't know how our universities are going to cope. There's going to be a lot of pressure, either to join in, or to compete, or to try and set up competing cartels maybe, where we'll say we will accredit each other's stuff, but not the stuff from over there. I have no idea how it's going to work. But I think that this is, in my academic lifetime, and I've just retired after 40 years as an academic, this is the most marvelous, disruptive, unexpected, discomforting thing that I have yet seen. But it, I think, has the opportunity to make knowledge a world property, and to make possible for everybody, even those who don't have big libraries down the road, to become partners in world learning and teaching. And that's why it's fun. Thank you. Yeah, let's talk about anything.
Roly, when I graduated from university, a physics lecturer said to me, can I ask, please? my lecturer said to me, I've taught you for 3 years, now go out and learn something. So knowledge in itself is not, he was saying to me, I believe, go and become competent. Don't just become a knowledge bank, but become competent. When you were speaking about employers saying, oh, you've got that certificate, well, there's a bit more to it. Competence is something that's different to actual knowledge.
That's right. Knowledge is not information, as Philip Adams says very often. But also the notion, I mean, we really should be teaching people to learn how to learn.
Yes.
This is the key thing.
And
to be self-renewing learning machines.
Yes.
Because, I mean, when some of this stuff online, it's all there to learn from, but where's the pedagogy gone?
Correct.
All right? And there is still, I mean, I'm an old-fashioned teacher, there is still nothing as good as a small face-to-face seminar with clever people chasing after ideas. Right? That's as good as it gets. And you come out of the class and you're on a high for hours afterwards because it's been, it's been that moment where learning somehow sort of has done quantum jumps and run away from it. So, it is not a matter of instilling learning or regurgitating stuff. It's a matter of becoming very much more creative than we've been in the past, very much more initiative-oriented And in fact, one of the things that we are now doing is we get students involved in the creation of course materials. And it is not the lecturer way up there. You're not the guide. No, you're not the sage on the stage. You're the guide on the side. And you are the person who is aiding, abetting, tweaking, talking, joining in. But you're not way up there waiting to be admired. That doesn't cut any mustard. Yeah, sure.
The example of the Parkinson's opens up a whole new field. I mean, you've put the research out there. It means probably exponentially it will be resolved years ahead of when it may well have been with hidden journals and people trying to connect via journals over years, which means that research, resolution of medical health problems will speed up at an exponential rate. I suppose it then opens up a whole new problem with licensing of who owns the product and how it's shared around the world.
Well, for instance, let's say you work in population demographics, right? And you collect a great big blob of data and make it available, and someone uses that to do some analysis and publish an article. Do you get your name on the list of authors? Probably not. Right? We need to have new models of people who are actually collecting the data, putting it into a form which can be meaningfully put on the web. That's not simple either. Maintaining it and making sure that it's available in a good form for other people to use. And we also, I mean, look, we get our browsers for nothing. Right? You get on the internet and you take it for granted that Internet Explorer or whatever you're using, Firefox, you just download it and you keep on getting the updates and it doesn't cost you not a cent. If we had to pay for these things, we'd have a slightly different view of them, I think. But there's lots of stuff out there that's for nothing. You can get the New York Times, a lot of it is free. Right? A lot of journalism is free. Who's had a look at The Conversation in Melbourne? Anyone? Good on you. I write for The Conversation. Do a search for quote The Conversation quote. It's a publishing initiative in Melbourne where they get academics off their stuffy bums and writing short pieces about current issues. And I've written a lot on openness for the Conversation. And they have, you know, there's already stuff about the American election and what's happened in the third debate and analyses on it by top people who are not producing big long papers with 5 lines of text and 50 lines of footnotes. They're writing interestingly for an educated general public. So The Conversation, have a look. It's great stuff. Owen.
Sorry, Roly. An addendum to what Roly has just said, for what it's worth. At the University of Queensland, 5 subjects have been chosen to MOOC next year, and guess what? That's one of mine. Yeah, so the Masters program that I teach in is being MOOCed. I've been working with MOOCs for the last 3 months. We will MOOC, I believe, probably not in the first semester, but the second semester.
Child of MOOC.
Yeah, the child of MOOC. Now, as a typical cynic, I would say, is the university doing it to attract some sort of competitive advantage? Maybe so. We have a new Vice-Chancellor, of course, that is really keen on making sure UQ is out there and modern. The fact of life is they're looking for my subject for, listen to this, 20,000 people on the subject. I have 160 who turn up face to face at the moment. Most of those are international, and that'll probably grow to about 200. And I imagine that'll grow to 6, 7, 8,000 in year 1, but we'll be there probably 20,000 within 2 years. So we're mooking next year, UQ, be there, be squared. I don't even know what it is.
And of course, if you do this well, it's a terrific showcase for your expertise and special skills. Yes?
Roly, you mentioned the New York Times.
Yes.
In contrast to the direction that the universities are going, a lot of newspapers are trying to add subscribers, paid subscribers.
Yes.
So what do you think of
Murdoch in particular is winding back the amount that you can see. But it still remains true that there are large chunks of things like the New Yorker, the New York Times, the Los Angeles Times, Chicago Tribune, The Guardian in England has the most interesting model. It's actually involving readers as journalists. And it has them engaging in the production of news and the reporting of things. Right? So that they've actually, most newspapers are shedding journalists like mad. It's really dangerous. You know, the newsroom full of clever, thoughtful people are just going and you just get it off the wire services. But then in The Guardian, they've got this enormous group of readers who are helping to create the news, right, which the paper actually uses. There it is.